Joining me right now, one of my favorite people on God's green earth. He just doesn't need any introduction. He's a rock and roll icon. He is a legendary outdoorsman. He gave me the best advice when I first started using a bow. He gave me the best advice. Uncle Ted Nugent, who joins us now via I mean, that's his bunker. Look at his bunker. Good night. He's got his dog on his cup. He's got his guitars. I see a big old giant. I mean, I love the safe in the background. Good to see you, Uncle Ted. God bless you, my friend.
Dana Lash, Dana Lash, Dana Lash. There are man caves, and then there's the Ted Nugent man cave, cuckoo's nest, arsenal of democracy.
So I know, let me ask you this, because, you're a lifelong outdoorsman. You know hunting, better than pretty much almost anybody. You also know, like, wildlife management. So it's not just like hunting and shooting, but you actually get, like, the land management, the hunting and land, all of that. And one of the cool things that I'm fingers crossed, I was hearing from lawmakers that they're still arguing this, that's in this bill that they're battling over, the Hearing Protection Act with suppressors. And I just wanted to ask you about that real quick, because you're like, if you go overseas to hunt, my friends that go overseas to bird hunt, they're like, if you don't shoot suppressed, you're kind of looked at like the rudest person that's ever lived. But over here, they act like, oh my gosh, it's a magical thing that makes the gun totally, it doesn't work like that. What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Well, I don't have any thoughts. I have some conclusions because I actually think. I'm a critical thinker, which is why you love me and I love you, because we are truth, logic, and common sense, critical thinking, adherents, genuflecting at God's miraculous creation that is truth, logic, and common sense. And the truth, logic, and common sense, Dana, is why in God's name would I need another man's authorization or federal paperwork to make my gun quieter and safer? This is insanity. By law, I have to have a muffler on my tractor, but I've got to get a federal piece of paper to make my gun a little quieter and safer. It's not a silencer, it's a suppressor. It just reduces the decibels slightly under what my guitar has been for the last 72 years. But the bottom line is, you're absolutely correct. When I hunt over in Africa and over in Europe, even over in England and Scotland, which are basically still king's tyrant countries, you can get a suppressor at the hardware store. Now you got to go through all kinds of insanity to get a permission to actually keep and bear arms. But we have that here. So ultimately, what you represent every time you open that beautiful little mouth of yours is the truth, logic, and common sense that I don't need paperwork. There's not a man that can go, oh, by the way, Ted, we're going to give you constitutional carry. I was born with constitutional carry. Dana, you know, I know, anybody that actually thinks knows that all gun control laws, all of them, all of the regulations are infringements, and there's a document that says shall not be infringed. In fact, this morning I signed another 1,000 of these hats that say shall not be infringed. Would people please wake up and tell your elected employees to quit infringing, stop the engineered recidivism, keep rapists and carjackers and murderers and stabbers and train pushers, keep them in cages, and let we the people keep and bear arms without any infringements. Boy, that's radical.
I love it. I love the phrase elected employees. That is the best. I'm going to committed that to memory. We're talking with Uncle Ted Nugent, just like the best out there. The president talked about this. First off, when he came out, he was saying that he wanted to have national reciprocity. There wasn't another president that said it, and I hope he strong arms some of these losers that are in D.C. into making this happen. But he also touched upon the Gun Control Act and maybe possibly rescinding the Gun Control Act in 1968, which would be enormous. I mean, I think you need to get rid of all of it. I agree with you. And I know this is something that you've talked quite a bit about. Do you think that Congress is actually going to let this happen? I feel like they're at odds with everything going on in the White House right now.
Well, first of all, you've identified the most important battle cry for true we the people freedom in America, and that is the great commander-in-chief, Donald Trump. What a relief this is. I work every day, Dana, with heroes of the military, all the military branches. And for many years, they've been heartbroken and depressed because the commander-in-chief, Joe Biden, was the actual enemy of America, the enemy of the Constitution. The deep state was the enemy. These young men and women of the U.S. military would die for their sacred constitutional oath, while the deep staters were violating the very oath that these heroes died for. So the self-evident truth is that the 68 Gun Control Act, signed after the Kennedy assassinations and Dr. Martin Luther King, it not only didn't reduce violent crime or assassinations since the Gun Control Act of 1968 because of engineered recidivism.
Yes.
We're living in a failed court system of engineered recidivism. They knowingly let out repeat offenders to repeat offenders. Then they convict them, and then they let them out again, and they repeat offend. It's Planet of the Cuckoo's Nest out there. So the 68 gun control was signed by Lyndon Baines Johnson. Who would trust anything that guy signed? It is counterproductive, just like everything the government does. It's counterproductive to their claim goals because they're liars. And I, as a free man, you as a free woman, your family, God bless Chris and your kids, God bless my family, my kids, my grandkids, my band, my crew. We get to keep and bear arms, and I would like to get rid of the infringements. So here's the bottom line. Call your elected employees. Call your senator and congressman. Tell your chief of police that you stand with Kyle Rittenhouse for clear and present self-defense. Call your state trooper commander. Call your sheriff. Call your senator, your congressman. Hammer your governor every day. Leave your name and number the time that you called and say, quit with the infringements. Every other state except Texas, I think there's a couple, South Dakota and Oklahoma have some pretty good reduced infringements, but it's our fault, Dana, for not raising enough hell. I raise more hell than anybody. That's why they call me a radical, and I take it as a badge of honor.
Yeah, you raise about as much hell as a mid-sized city. I mean, that's true. Like you're like your own one-man army, talking with our very dear friend, Uncle Ted Nugent, about all of this. I feel like we are closer with a lot of this stuff federally, with like pulling back a lot of these gun laws than we ever have been. And I'm so terrified that if we don't act now, then we're going to miss an opportunity. Because I'm worried about what Democrats have planned in 28, and I think you are too.
Well, once again, I could give you so many heartbreaking examples. I got a farmer buddy who's never even gotten a speeding ticket, but he's now a convicted felon by the EPA, another counterproductive, corrupt criminal bureaucracy, because he had a faulty muffler on a tractor on his farm. He's now a convicted felon, and he can't exercise his God-given rights. I have so many people that made a mistake way back when they were teenagers. Now they have great businesses. They employ hundreds of people, but they're a convicted felon for having a couple of joints, which was a dumb mistake. But my God, violent criminals in Chicago are caught on film shooting each other every day with illegal guns and fully automatic federal crime sears on their pistols, and they drop the gun charges for the gangbangers, but the guy with the bad muffler can't use a 30-30 to go deer hunting. Yep. I mean, these are unbelievable examples, and Dana, I could keep you here for 100 days. I have a Real America Voice Spirit Campfire and our Spirit of the Wild TV show on the Pursuit Network. I try to expose these atrocities, and I think people woke up. We saw the evidence November 5th, 2024. But please, people, engage, raise hell. Go to hunternation.org. HunterNation.org connects with conservationists, constitutionalists, conservatives, and we find out those that don't vote, and we inspire them to vote, because that's what's making the difference. We proved it in November, didn't we?
Oh, absolutely. I got to ask you about that. I want to finish with this topic, because the news that's been out. So we had the Her audio with Biden's closed door testimony that came out, and that was real bad. But then that immediately got shoved to the side because this news about his cancer diagnosis, and it's stage 4. It's real bad, super aggressive. And look, I think you can have compassion all the live long day, but also that doesn't mean you sacrifice accountability and questions. And Americans have every right to go, wait a minute. We saw clearly there was a cognitive struggle. Now we have this. I had Dr. Drew on yesterday who was saying, no. The question is whether or not how much he was dealing with this when he ran, like before he even ran. This is such a crazy issue. Who do you think was in charge in the White House? Because honestly, you cannot persuade me that he was at any point during these last 4 years. I don't believe it.
Until we find out who was running the United States government during Joe Biden's 4 years, we're not real America. Not only was he dangerously mentally ill, but more mentally ill than Joe Biden and his inner circle. I mean, just outrageous. More mentally ill than Joe Biden and his inner circle were the people that covered up for him. Can you imagine being an official, an elected employee in the United States of America, and waking up every day to intentionally bamboozle, lie, and deceive the American public that was at its peak violation during the Joe Biden 4 years. Again, I pray for mentally ill people. Even the president, now he's diagnosed with cancer. We're praying for Joe Biden, but that does not mitigate or reduce the disrespect that he earned for being such a dishonest, corrupt, tax-torching traitor. He's a traitor. If you open up the borders, that's treason. If you get money from our enemies in China, if that's not treason, I'm Caitlyn Jenner's boy toy. This is insanity beyond measure. These guys are so guilty of treason. Is that the ultimate analysis or what?
I love it. I mean, that one's gonna get cut for sure and be online. That one's good. No, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you on that. And I just, the fact that we have the press now, like at USA Today was like, oh, was he ever in good health? They actually, Uncle Ted, they actually asked that now. USA Today is now, all the media now are asking, oh, was he ever in good health? Wow, it looks like there were some things that were bad. We were called conspiracy theorists for seeing this, earlier. Last word from you on this.
The dishonesty level is finally being reversed. I call it the toxic, demonic toilet flush of Uncle Sam and the deep state. Thank God for Donald Trump. But more importantly, it was we the people, especially the fence sitters. And by the way, if you're sitting on the fence and you're a moderate, you don't stand for anything. And if you don't stand for anything, you're actually facilitating the evil side. Noncompliance and apathy isn't a neutral. It's supporting the evil side. And finally, enough Americans that thought they were not participating in the sacred experiment self-government, they said, my God, men destroying women's sports that is facilitated by the party that claims they're all about women's rights.
Yeah.
Again, there's thousands of examples. And I'm going to leave saying this, Dana, how much we love you. Because you have the most sexy middle finger. When you set it on fire with your truth, logic, and common sense, everywhere I go, people know that we're friends. They say, tell Dana, thank you. Tell Dana, we love her. I have a Tyrannosaurus Rex Scrotum of Freedom Award, and I don't want to give it to you because you're just too beautiful. But it means you stand up for the self-evident truth that guides the greatest quality of life in the history of the world, the only experiment in self-government in the history of the world. Dana Lash, we love you. We pray for you because you're brave beyond words. And every time you speak, you represent the best families in the asset column of the American dream. God bless you, woman. Shemaine and I love you.
Well,
and
thank
your family.
you so much, Uncle Ted. And we love you and Shemaine and all your family as well. And congratulations, because I know you guys just celebrated a super happy event. And I wanted to say congratulations, and I'm so happy for you all. I love that for your family. But you've really blasted the way. You have to know that. You know how many people, whether it was Gen X or millennials or Gen Z that, watched you and really took a lot of cues from you. So you planted a lot of seeds in a lot of people's minds. And I think that, you really made that possible. So thank you, because you're an absolute American patriot. Uncle Ted Nugent, really our favorite person in all of rock and roll. God bless you, my friend. Please tell your beautiful bride hello. We will talk with you again soon. God bless. Appreciate your time.
We're going to have some backstraps over a campfire sometime, Dana. Godspeed, baby.
Yes, amen to that. Thank you, sir. God bless. Thanks for watching The Dana Show. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and stay tuned for more content.